Hi students, in this video I'm going to show you how to do a very cool animation using images. And it will look really professional in the end, and you can use this technique in some of your slides. Now, what I did is I went online, I got 4 images, and I laid them out this way, I spread them out, because that will help with the effect. And I wanted to adjust the images so that they're relatively the same size. Now, these 3 look closer in size, and this one's a little shorter, but that's fine. But I'll show you how that's done. So if I double click on the image on the picture tools and I go all the way over to the size group, there's the familiar crop. So you can use the crop, which I did over here a little bit. But I adjusted the heights, you can see, of all the images to 2.5. And I had to experiment with that a little bit to fit it on here. The widths are going to be a little bit different for each one, but that's okay. So you can see how that's done over here. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to begin the animations. So I'm going to go up and make sure I'm clicked on the first object, click animations. Make sure I click that animation pane command button. That will open the pane up. You can see it. So this will show us what our activity looks like. Then I will click effect options. I'm going to go down to add animation. Under the advanced animation, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to look for custom path. So we're going to use a motion path, custom, do it ourselves. We'll click on it. Now once I click on it, you'll see a plus sign. This is going to be a little tricky, so this might take you several times before you really understand it, but that's okay. So I'm going to move my mouse pointer to the middle of the first picture. Now keep in mind, I don't have my hands pressed on anything, so it's just sitting there. So this is the tricky part. So I'm going to click only once on the left mouse button. And then when I do that, you'll see the plus sign grew larger. So from that point, my hands are free from the mouse. I'm just going to drag it down. And you have to try to keep a straight line as best as possible. I'm going to click it again, drag it over, click again. Now, this is a little tricky. When you get to the third slide, you want to try to make sure that it's linear, from this over here. Now it's not always going to work perfectly because it's hard to see the line. So I'm just going to click it and let's see what happens. I'm going to drag it over, and pretty good. It's a little off, but I can adjust that later, but I don't need to. It looks fine. So I'm going to click, and then you will see the slide move around. Good. And it will show up in the animation pane. I'm going to click on the second picture. I'm going to click Add Animation. Same thing. I'm going to go down to Custom Path. Center. So click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, click, and then combine them. And there's the second one. Good. Third picture, the tigers. Add animation, custom path, look for the center. I click it once, I drag it up, make sure it's centered, click it again, drag to the left, click it again, drag it down, click it again, combine. Alright, there's the line. Click on the elephants, add animation, custom path. Click it in the center, drag it over, click again, so it's click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, and click. There you go. Oops, did you see that? Now for some reason, and this happens, it picked up this picture again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and look, this is good that this happened. This fourth one is, and the third one is also the lion, but I'm going to click the fourth one. There's an arrow that drops down, and I'm going to remove that. All right. And I'm just going to do a preview to make sure that the first 3 are okay. All right, before we move on. All right, good. So we're going to try this again. I'm going to click on the elephant, add animation, custom path, find a center point. All right. Click drag, click drag. Let's see if it works this time. click drag, and let's see if that works. Did not work. Alright, so here's what's happening. Sometimes when you drag the lines, they connect to another point that it sees. So one of the things you can do, and it happened twice already, is I'm going to try it again and show you that if you run into it, you delete it out, which I did. Click back on the elephant, and let's see if it works. So, look, this may happen 4 or 5 times, but it's just going to take a little practice. So I'm going to click on custom path. I'm going to maybe move out a little bit here, just a little bit, to see what happens. I'm going to click there. I'm going to click here. So it's click, drag, click, and then I'm going to kind of go out a little bit. Let's see if this works. I hope it works. There you go. All right, good. All right, so I have my 4 images done. This is what it looks like in preview. Okay. Good. Now, if you want to try it out in the slideshow, you're going to have to click to get started, each one, because that's the way it's set up right now. All right. And to show you that, if I move my mouse pointer up here, like if I go to picture 2, you'll see. Okay. If you go up to, you can just go like and click it. If you look to the right, it says start on the click, each one. So we want to fix all this up. So watch me carefully, because we're going to do the same thing for each slide to get this to operate very smoothly. All right. So I'm going to click on the first image. I'm going to go over. There's a drop-down button. Oh, well, let me click animations first. Okay, so this comes up. It's set at 2 seconds. So what we're going to eventually change it to 15. But we have a few things that we have to do. So to make it easier to do multiple steps, I'm going to click the drop-down. And instead of clicking things here and here, I'm just going to go down to where it says Effect Options. Okay, so again, I click on the first image, or either over there, I just click here, go to Effect Options, and this box will come up, this dialog box, Custom Path. So the tab effect is clicked. Now, you won't see this. You'd have to see before and afterwards, but for purposes of the video, what I want you to do, there's a slider button there that says Smooth Start and Smooth End. This is extremely important. So we want to get rid of that. And I'll explain that to you another time. Alright, so that's all we want to do. We want to get this down to 0. We want to hit OK. Alright, and you'll see that this image actually will run smoother now, more linear. Alright, now I backed out accidentally, so I'm going to click Effect Options again. So we change that to 0. I'm going to go to Timing, and I'm going to change this to with the previous. As soon as the slideshow starts, we'll have it move. We're going to go down to Duration. I'm going to change it to 15 seconds. You can experiment with it. I'm going to go down to Repeat, and we're going to let this constantly roll until the next slide after that. Okay, and that should be good. And then I'm going to hit OK, and that's done. We'll see it. Now look at that, nice and smooth. All right, so let's move on to the next image. I'm going to click that, and we're going to do the same thing. Drop down arrow, Effect Options, drag the slider to 0 seconds on the Smooth Start and End. Click the Timing tab. Change this to with previous because we want it to move with the previous image. Adjust the duration to 15 seconds. And we're going to have that loop repeat itself constantly until we decide to stop it or the end of the slide. And then we're going to hit OK, and that's done. So then we're going to click on the third one. Same thing. Drop down, Effect Options, drag over, okay, Timing, with the previous. It's important to know what all these steps do. Next slide. There we go. Click on the fourth one. Effect Options. It's actually good that you do this over and over again because then you get a chance to practice it and you kind of understand it. With the previous, 15 seconds, and the end of the slide. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Okay, good. Alright, now we're going to watch this in preview first. And look at that. That looks pretty cool. Alright, but we're going to add one more effect to make it even look cooler. Ready? So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to click on the first image. I'm going to go up to picture tools. I'm going to go to picture effects, and I'm going to go down to reflection. I'm going to select the first reflection. Do the same thing for the second picture. By the way, you can move these images around to fix them up a little bit if they're not in the, if you want to just slightly move them. One of the things you can use to do that is, well, let me just finish this. You can go up to doing picture effects for each one is reflection. So if your pictures are a little bit off, if you move them around, you'll see a little red line pop up. These lines, vertical and horizontal, will help you line them up. You also can use your arrow keys, which is really cool. But you're still looking for that line. See this? See that red line in between the two pictures? And then I have to look for the line between these two pictures to get it pretty much situated. Well, this picture is a little small. All right. So I think this is done. I added this in here, this effect, wild animals, and for the title I went to word art and did that. All right, next. Let's go to animation. Let's check out the preview of it. I encourage you to do the preview just to get an idea, but the preview doesn't necessarily, we'll skip over, if you have any clicks or things in there. So what you really want to do is try it from the slideshow. So you're going to see what it looks like. Current slide. And then you notice that it automatically moves. And it will keep going until your next slide. And that's it. Alright. Now the one thing I did notice up here when I was doing this, if I'm looking at my pictures moving around, so I would fix this. Not that anybody would notice it. But look at the lines. The lines hits the bottom of the reflection on animals, and I don't like that. So I would go back and I would have to fix that. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. We can put the finishing touches later on there. I want you to get started. So I'm going to escape. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to back out. Thank you very much for watching.